Tao Te Ching 22. If you want to become whole, let yourself be partial. If you want to become straight, let yourself be crooked. If you want to become full, let yourself be empty. If you want to be reborn, let yourself die. If you want to be given everything, give everything up. The Master, by residing in the Tao, sets an example for all beings. Because he doesn't display himself, people can see his light. Because he has nothing to prove, people can trust his words. Because he doesn't know who he is, people recognize themselves in him. Because he has no goal in mind, everything he does succeeds. When the ancient masters said, if you want to be given everything, give everything up, they weren't using empty phrases. Only in being lived by the Tao can you be truly yourself. Yielding brings wholeness. Bending brings straightness. Emptying brings fullness. Decaying brings renewal. Diminishing brings gain. Exceeding brings confusion. Thus the sage embraces the One and serves as an example to the world. He doesn't display himself, so he appears. He doesn't promote himself, so he succeeds. He doesn't boast, so he becomes famous. He doesn't brag, so he remains a long time. Because he doesn't fight, no one under heaven can fight against him. The ancients say, those who yield become whole. How can these words be wrong? True wholeness will return to you. Again, you have more of a Wei-Wu-Wei, trying is dying situation going on here. If you're trying to become whole, the more that you try to do it, the more that you will be partial. The more that you try to become straight, the more that you try to do it, the more you'll be crooked. But if you just do things, if you just accept and observe, then things right themselves, just by paying attention mostly. And just acceptance and paying attention. So in the two, you usually accept the responsibility and pay attention through that. So if you want to be reborn, let yourself die. Again, it's the idea of yourself that you're letting die. And again, if you want to become full, let yourself be empty. If you are empty, then it's easier to fill yourself up. If you haven't eaten for a long time, then you eat. You don't need as much to fill your tank, however you want to look at it, because everything has shrunk down. Everything has returned to its natural state. So by stopping, refraining, abstaining, things return to the natural state, not by doing things. Stopping is what makes things do things, actually. The stillness causes the motion. So the Master sets an example for all things because it is the Tao and everything is following the Tao. So not displaying oneself, people can see your light. Trying to display yourself or idea of yourself, that you block who you really are. If you have nothing to prove, people can trust your words. No one wants to be coerced into peace because you don't know who you are. People recognize themselves in you. So the primal identity, again, if you don't have this idea of knowing who you are, because you're living in trauma to even know. So to be in the state of knowing is to be in a state of trauma and to be in a trance state. So because you can't know infinity, you can only be it. So once you stop trying to know it, and then you just being it, then the primal identity can shine through, and then the shared consciousness is just obvious. So, again, no expectation, then no disappointment, no aging. And again, it just basically just trusting the process, not the processor, the processors or the parts. Keeping to the block, knowing the utensils, but keeping to the block, basically, in a lot of this. So you work with what comes. Again, so the Master has no goal in mind. It's the Master just making the most of what comes. So you have no excuses, then you have no regrets, and then the presence is realized. And again, it says over here, he doesn't display himself, so he appears. The presence reveals itself when it's unobstructed. It's always itself. It's always available. But for it to loom into view from your human view, you have to just Wei-Wu-Wei, doing, not trying to promote yourself. If you're not trying to promote yourself or your idea of yourself, then you succeed. Things come of themselves when you don't force them. And forcing is destruction or rape. Alignment is creation, acceptance. So it's more so about your alignment or malalignment. And then, if you don't brag, then you remain a long time. It's all really makes sense. It's a very wordy one, so I don't really need to say as much commentary. Because he doesn't fight, no one can fight against him. Because she doesn't compete, no one can compete against her. Again, the fighting is within, so once that war is stopped within, then it's inevitable that it stops without. And the ancients say those who yield become whole. Yep, it's the same thing. If you want to give up everything, if you want to be given everything, you got to give everything up. And it seems paradoxical, but it's the reality of the situation. Is that the more that you clinch and hold and flinch, the more that life does the same with you.